My name is Nancy Brockbank Livingston, and I'm very proud of the Brockbank name because I'm the seventh of 9 girls. We have multiplied and replenished a lot of children and grandchildren in Utah Valley, and that can attend BYU. I went to BYU and then to the U for a year where I found my husband, and with all of these new babies, twins and 5 children in 6 years, I just was going to be a good mother. However, with a husband who was not active in the church, I found that teaching primary was a great way for me to stay active, and I fell in love with teaching. With 5 children in 6 years, and by the time Leslie turned 8, I was back in school full-time getting my teaching certificate. I've loved teaching ever since. Reading books to my children was one way, and when I came down to BYU and worked on my doctorate, Jim Jacobs was already not only promoting, but he knew children's literature that could turn anybody into loving children's books. I began teaching elementary in Granite School District, and then was asked to work in a reading clinic, then was asked to come into the district office, and it was all wonderful. I was just there at the right time, also for the beginning of federal programs. Then BYU asked me to come there, and I was there for a long time. I think actually being in the classroom with young children, I like teaching at the university, but young children are so spontaneous and delightful, while university students are a little bit more reserved. And I'll just tell you one funny story. I'm reading aloud to kindergarten children, and it's a wonderful book, and we are having a good time. Well, as I got up to leave, one of the little boys came up and poked me and said, "Are you as old as your hair?" Kids are spontaneous, they make you feel good and fun to be with. Probably 1963 when I started. I have no idea what year it is yet. In some way, but it never diminishes reading aloud to kids, having a fairly strong phonics program in kindergarten and in 1st grade, but not forever. The writing was highly underemphasized, and that's one reason why we're doing much more with writing. So I've seen appropriate changes. With teachers is to keep them motivated, to keep trying some new things, but not new things every day. And there are certain things that we need to remember. Like a child's attention span is probably a minute or 2 longer than their age. I'm a firm believer in checking to make sure the child learned what you were teaching. And the other thing that worries me, which I work with teachers, is if you ask a question and the child doesn't know the answer, that's when you teach him. You don't move to the child who knows the answer. First of all, it's not an easy task. Second, you really do need to set some time there to be with your children. That is politically a little bit divisive right now. Early childhood people are very concerned that we might just drill and kill the kids in 4-year-olds. However, the new core standards, I think, are appropriately accelerated a little bit more for kindergarten, which will mean that 4-year-olds will probably learn most of their letter names before they come to kindergarten. They'll also have been read aloud to and can tell you what happened in the story. So there's going to be a lot of appropriate listening and speaking. Children's books.